Welcome to What Are You Sporting About podcast, a podcast about business, employment, sports, and entertainment to help educate, support, and guide you to your next level. Here's your host, attorney Sivonnia DeBarros.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Sivonnia DeBarros, the protector of athletes, and also the founding principal of the S.L. DeBarros Law Firm, where I represent athletes in business, six plus figure business owners. All right, guys. So look, I'm excited for this episode because this is another athlete who is just rocking it through NIL. Dominique Onu, and she came to share her story with us during the NILCOMBINE and how she is helping other athletes to understand their authenticity, how they can create their own branding, and of course, navigate social media. So without further ado, go ahead and check out this episode. All right. So we're just transitioning right along. Now I have an athlete, female athlete at that, right? Come on, y'all. NIL is opening doors for us, for the women in the room. So look, Dominique Onu is going to come and introduce herself and tell you about how she's gotten her start with leveraging and monetizing through NIL, some of the lessons that have popped up, which forced her to learn them and implement them as she moved further throughout building her name, image, and likeness. So without further ado, let's welcome Dominique to the Combine.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dominique Onu. I play at UCLA. I'm on the women's basketball team. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here and talk about my NIL experience and how I've been able to kind of leverage my brand more as a college athlete and how I'll continue to do that.
Awesome. And I want to remind you guys, look, if you have questions, make sure that you go ahead and drop them in the Q&A box. We will make sure we get your questions answered by our athletes. So Dominique, just to go ahead and start out your women's basketball athlete, what are some lessons that you didn't know originally before NIL kicked in?
I think more so like building your brand. I really thought that was only for if you became a professional athlete. But now that I've learned, like you can build your brand as a high school athlete, as a college athlete, you don't have to be professional to do so. So I think before NIL hit, I didn't understand how to kind of leverage my social media and make it not like aesthetically pleasing, but make a column like what are the things that people are going to see on my page? You know, if it's like, relationship stuff or basketball or like Christian videos or advice or TikToks or things of that nature. So I guess just leveraging my branding and making a name for myself first, and letting the basketball follow that.
That's awesome. So obviously you are taking advantage of the new rules, right? What did that look like for you as you started out? So you talked a little bit about not even knowing how to position yourself because you didn't even know that having a brand was for you, right? That was what the big people do, the ones that are cutting the checks or getting the big checks, right?
Okay.
So obviously you've taken advantage of NIL, but what did that look like for you when you first started out?
Yeah, at first, my first thought was to hire a management company. I wanted to make sure that I was kind of learning how to brand myself, like what to post, how to start to kind of build my social media. Also, just wanted to know the ins and outs of like what are businesses looking for in an athlete or someone that they want to sponsor. A lot of the things that I didn't know that they taught me is that you don't have to be the top athlete on the team to get sponsorships. They want to see who creates the best content, who has the most engagement. And I didn't know that as an athlete. You know, I was a freshman at the time when NIL passed. So as I'm not a starter, I wasn't a starter, consistent starter on the team. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not a starter. I can't make much money, but that's not the truth, you know? And so I guess for them, they just kind of really helped me understand what I can do with what I have right now. It doesn't take much to make a little video. It doesn't take much to post, and it doesn't take much to kind of engage with people on your page. And from there, I've just been taking advantage of that. I go to them when I have questions, and I've been able to help my teammates, and they come to me with questions about content creation or little things like that because I've been taking advantage of it for the past year and learning as I go along.
Yeah, no, that's really good. So what have you learned about you though, now that you've stepped into this space of really, which is entrepreneurism, right?
Yeah.
You're now a student athlete entrepreneur.
Mhm.
You are managing your relationships, managing the income that you receive from any NIL deals,
Mhm.
managing the obligations with that. So having all of these things now put on top of student and athlete title,
Yeah.
what are some things you learned about yourself that you didn't necessarily know that you possessed?
Yeah, I think for me, I just like to be authentic. You know, my Instagram, my TikTok, or just whatever I have that I create, I like to be authentic. And I think that me posting content just like assured me that like I like to be myself. You know, I don't like to be restricted to, okay, well, make sure your page looks this way. I'm like, no, like this is the person I am. You know, I'm a Christian woman. I play basketball. You know, I prioritize family. So those are the things that I love. And so when I'm creating my brand, I'm like, okay, what's important to me? And those are the things that I have core values in. So for me, it was just kind of really, it rooted me back into how I grew up. And I prioritize those things in my life. And so it kind of makes creating content or kind of getting deals easier because if it doesn't line up with my morals or my values or a brand that I know I'd be working with, I'm not going to use it. I don't care how much money they give me because it's not true to who I am. So I think I learned that early on, just how I was raised. And then I just learned like I am an authentic person. You know, I definitely continue to stick with that, and I'm proud of that. And I learned that when I'm 20 years old, so that's a good thing to learn early. So
It most definitely is, because most young folks they'll jump with the bag,
yeah,
right? So most people are like, show me the money
yeah,
and I'm going wherever the money is. But
yeah,
sometimes that can be such a dangerous thing to do. And
mhm,
so I think it's very admirable that you've come to the realization. Wow, I can't talk today, right? You've come to the realization that alignment is necessary. It's
yes,
important and it's also necessary. And um it's one of your things where you require it.
hmm,
So I really love that. I love that. Have you actually turned down some brands or
yeah, a lot.
because they didn't align?
Yeah, a lot. There's a bunch of companies that my management company comes to me with, and I'm like, "No, I'm not going to use it, or they're not communicating great, like things like that. I'm like, listen, because a lot of the times, like my management company, I don't have to talk to them directly; they come to me. But if they're telling me, hey, they're not responding, I'm like, I don't want to work with them because if I can't get in contact with them or they're not being responsive, it's not a company I want to work with. So I've turned down a few, like a handful or more of companies that wanted to work with me, and I said no. So.
Yeah, no, that's dope. And it's also showing you the red flags too. So
Mhm.
something Maya Angelou said, bless her soul, is, when people show you who they are, you believe them. And
Mhm.
sometimes people could just be, have a lot going on. However, if it's important to them, they'll get on it. They'll get to
Exactly.
it. Yeah. So kudos for you for having the discernment to recognize, like, they don't prioritize me, prioritize my gifts,
Mhm.
prioritize what I might bring to the plate. So pass.
Right.
Why is that a powerful lesson for athletes to learn and start implementing now?
Because I think regardless, you can use it when you're building your brand. You can use it in the sports realm. Like a lot of if you are desiring to play college or pro sports, the biggest decision that you make is where you go play college. So for me, it was like I looked at a school that prioritized me as a person, not just as a player. So that was huge because, I'm gonna have bad days. I'm gonna have times where I'm not the greatest player, but are you going to still treat me as an important person? And my school does. So that's been huge for me. And I think you can use that in any stage of life, whether it's a company you're working with, or there's people that you hire. If they're not prioritizing you just as a person and they're just looking at your performance, or they're not being engaging, or they're not valuing your gifts like you mentioned, then it's not a place that you should be, because you're always going to be working to impress them, because they don't want to see your potential. They want to see your gift as for what it is. So
Dropping bars. That's all I'm saying. Dropping bars. One thing that was a myth buster for you was that you didn't have to be a top performing athlete or an athlete who was, I guess, considered the cream of the crop to get an NIL deal.
Yes.
Break that down for us actually, and for athletes who may see themselves as, oh, well, I'm not the best, or I'm not, I don't really have a name out there to get an NIL deal. Break that down, because we know, okay, here's the thing. We know that most athletes are not going to get the multi-million dollars or high five-figure deals. Right. But it doesn't mean that just because you're not getting those that you can't establish relationships and start getting something in the door. So break that down for them and let them know how that myth was bust for you, and how they can start going out there and getting their own deals.
Well, I think first off, you got to think about like a professional athlete. They're obviously like the Serena Williams, LeBron James, the Venus Williams, Diana Taurasi, Breanna Stewart, like those are the top athletes, and they get a lot more money than other people, which is great and fine because of their talent. But there are other players that might not be at that level, but they still produce, they still do what they need to do. They're still building their brand. I think the biggest thing is just comparison. Like, don't compare what you're getting from what someone else is getting, because everybody's going to get something different. Like, you might not be getting multi-million-dollar deals, but your impact might be greater. Like you might be really good at serving the community or giving back to the community, or creating like camps for people that are less fortunate. So I would say whatever you're gifted in, just focus on that, because I believe in God. So God is important to me. My purpose is important to me. So my purpose is going to be different than someone on another basketball team or someone in the professional realm. And you have to be okay with that. I think it doesn't just come naturally being okay with it. We're naturally going to compare ourselves. That's just how we are. So you got to be aware of that. Like, am I watching someone else's pockets? Because some of the times the posts or things that are being said about these athletes or how much they're making is not always true. It's social media. Things get said. Some of these money that these players are making isn't the real money that they're making. Not saying that they aren't, but don't compare yourself to other people. I think that's huge in sports and just this NIL realm. Just do what you can do. Find what you like to post. Find what you kind of brand you want to build, and go from there. If you like a clothing brand, great. If you like music, great. Use that to your advantage and go from there. Because I think you'll get more fulfillment doing what you love than trying to chase what someone else is doing and their money or their deals that they're getting. Because everybody has their own path. God has a plan for everybody else, like uniquely designed. So I would just say stay in your lane and just do what you can. Work with what you got.
I know that's right. Oh my gosh. Recap, focus on your gift. Don't go checking somebody else's pockets, And you know what? It's so real though, because sometimes people will be on the sideline counting your money. Yeah. Like, no, you need to not focus on what's going on over here. Focus on what's going on in your house. Focus on what's going, you know what I mean, in your yard, so that you can get where you want to be. And it doesn't mean that you may not ascend to those particular levels of success, but you can't do it if you're watching somebody else. You got to go out there, you got to get it, and you have to be true to yourself, and you have to understand what your own gifts are, which is why I love NIL, right? Yeah. It's not a bandwagon type of opportunity. Brands want to work with people who are different, who are unique, who bring different things to the table. And this is a perfect opportunity for student athletes to get themselves out here to businesses and brands who want to diversify, right, their portfolios. Well, why would they bring you in if you already look like and doing the same thing that one of their clients already do?
Exactly.
So yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So as we wrap up, this has been so great to talk to you, and you are wise beyond your years. I love having this conversation with you. You are extremely wise. Yeah. As we wrap up, what advice or one takeaway, other than what you've already stated, but what would be one takeaway that you could provide for student athletes in the room, or even their parents?
It's a good question. I would say, like what I said before, focus on your gift, like focus on what you're good at. I can give an example. So my dad, he played in the NFL, he played sports, and, he did motivational speaking as well. And I've always loved to talk. I think I get it from him. I love to talk. And actually recently, I went home to Jacksonville to visit my dad. And he sat me down. He's like, I want to help you work on your public speaking. And I was like, well, why? He's like, I see a gift in you. I see a gift that you can do public speaking, that I think you'd be really good at that. In whatever direction I want to do that. So we sat down for 30 minutes and just worked on speaking and kind of doing like a rapid like speech off of like, okay, we're going to talk about consistency. Okay, give me a speech of consistency. And I would just have to just go off the top of my head. And I think as a parent, being able to ignite and elude what you see in your child, but also just like support them, not say this is what you're going to do. But what my dad did was he was like, I see this in you, so let's try it out. And I'm going to help support you and give you advice at the same time. And that gave me confidence. And so now we have this thing where every time I send him a video of me doing a speech, he gives me $10. So now he's like, you get a little pocket money, and then also like you practice public speaking. So he kind of puts a little initiative in it as well. And so I would say doing that as a parent is huge, because it gives your child confidence. It gives like a little game to do. And then as a kid or as a child or their athlete that's aspiring to be in college or professional athlete, use that to your advantage. You know, listen to people that speak life into you. Listen to people that see something in you. It may not be exactly what you want to do, but let that fuel you to find your passion. If it's not exactly the thing the realm you want to go in, it's okay. But I would say let people speak life into you, and also as a parent, you know, speak life into your child and give them the tools that you know that maybe can help them in their gift and whatever they can do, and help them pursue that.
Woo! It's a wrap, y'all. I don't even have to do a close. It's a wrap. So true. I love it, Dominique. Where can people find you and connect with you to see the stuff that you are working on and all of the social goodness that you got coming out on your social channels?
You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. All my handles are the same, Dominique Onu. I also have a website up, Dominique Onu. If you look it up, it'll be up on there. Those are the channels you can find me on. My DMs are always open, so I always, you know, try to reach out to the kids or the people that reach out to me, just asking questions about basketball, life, being a Christian woman, anything of that nature. And I try my best to respond. So if anybody has any questions, you can always reach out to me, and I would love to have a conversation with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for coming to the NIL Combine and talk about navigating and monetizing through NIL, but also, you know, really being transparent and talking about the myths that you overcame, you know, the barriers that you also have overcame, and how you're really leveling up. I love it. I absolutely love it. So thank you again, and we will be in contact.
Thank you.
All righty. Y'all, look, that was so good. So I need to see the questions, especially if you are a student athlete. If you are here today, take advantage of this opportunity to reach out to someone who is already navigating and monetizing their NIL. Sometimes business is about relationships. So this is your opportunity to start building one. All right. Go ahead and follow Dominique on Instagram. I think she said she was on Facebook, but her handle is Dominique Onu. Make sure you go and find her, Google her, connect with her today. All right, guys. I will connect with you guys in a bit for the next session. Ciao. All right. Now, I told you that was a dope interview. This young lady is so wise beyond her years, and I had so much fun talking with her. I hope that this interview has imparted some type of knowledge, whether it be personal or professional. I hope that you've been able to glean something from this conversation that I had with Dominique. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. We want to make sure that we continue bringing individuals and information to you that will help to further impact you on your journey. So guys, until next time, I'll check you later. Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on What Are You Sporting About podcast. Make sure to visit our website, prosportlawyer.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever your favorite platform is, so you'll never never miss a show. And while you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or iHeartRadio. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you like the show, you might want to check out our book, What Are You Sporting About? Attorney Sivonnia DeBarros is available for private consulting at sldebarros.com. And remember, we're here to educate, support, and guide you in your journey to success because we're all sporting about something.